Is there anything you can say to characterize what this threat is or what country it involves? I mean, should the public be alarmed at this point since he has said this publicly?
I'm not in a position to say anything further today. Like I said, I look forward to the discussion with him, and obviously from there we will determine how to proceed. But standing here at the podium today, I can't share anything further.
So that seems totally healthy. So this is what's up. First, that's Jake Sullivan, who is being asked about this. And he's with the NSA, National Security Administration. He says he's not in a position to say if the public should be alarmed by this urgent matter regarding a destabilizing foreign military capability. And so this is what came out. This is from the House Intelligence Committee and the chairman, Mike Turner. He's a Republican with GOP oversight as well. He's out of Ohio. He released a statement saying this, quote, "Today, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence has made available to all members of Congress information concerning a serious national security threat. I'm requesting that President Biden classify all information relating to this threat so that Congress, the administration, and our allies can openly discuss the actions necessary to respond to this threat." And so Jake Sullivan was asked, well, I'm not in a position to say if you should be alarmed. What kind of answer is that? Don't you feel like you should... This is... Okay, I'm gonna bring the tugboat to shore, but roll with me for a moment. This is what infuriates me about drama queens that are Democrats. First off, my number one pet peeve... Yeah, as Steve says, then why the hell say anything? My number one pet peeve are drama queens. I hate more than any... I hate, like not a dislike. There's only 3 things I hate. A dude whose name rhymes with Schmannon, and because he's a traitor to the country. Also, I hate Green Day. And I hate drama queens. Everything else is just a very strong dislike. You know, like ABBA, I appreciate the artistry and I get that they're very smart. And I just am, that's not my bag. Just because it's not my bag doesn't mean I hate it. I just dislike it, right? So hate's a strong word. I hate drama queens. I hate it when there is a drama queen infusion into my politics like this. Because this is a time when you should be super sober-minded, right? Do you remember when 9/11 happened? And I was 21 years old. And I'm watching. They kept playing that video over and over again. Bush was in a Florida classroom. Elementary school kids, like little kids, 3rd and 4th graders. He's reading a book. And that's when one of his top aides walked up to him, whispered in his ear, "Sir, the United States is under attack." And I will say, for so many things that I disagree with Bush on, the way that he handled that after was masterful, because a lot of people would have just been very dramatic about it, I think. And I think those are moments like that truly test what skills you have. No one ever rises to an occasion. They always fall back on their highest level of training, right? And he, for a moment, his face turned into an eagle. And his eyes got real shrewd looking and just real pointed. And then he had a different vibe after. He stayed there on the stage. He didn't freak out, but there was a different vibe. And later on, like 15 years later, they went back and they interviewed the kids in the classroom. And every single one of those kids, black, white, Asian, every single one of them, Democrat, Republican, whatever, every one of them said they didn't realize it at the time, but they were grateful that he maintained his calmness and his composure, because that could have led the nation into hysteria had he not. And they said he made it something we could understand and manage after because of the way he reacted. Now, I mention that because I actually kind of use that as a baseline for everything. And I will say, I know people, I don't know how Rudy Giuliani went from being America's mayor to being like made fun of and stuff. I don't get it. One of the things that he said the week after 9/11, because they said there was at one point where Giuliani was awake for 3 days straight. And he was living on coffee and he was just trying to coordinate. And someone had asked him, how are you able to keep your a level head through all this? And he goes, well, it was my dad. He's like, my dad always told me that the calmest person in the room will always be able to figure their way out of any situation. And I have always remembered that. In fact, that's what I remembered when I was on stage at Parkland. And that was 6 years ago today. We're going to talk about that coming up. That was the first thing that was what I had in my head on stage for that town hall. And so comparing this with this, Jake Sullivan. Now, I'm not saying that his demeanor is hysterical, but why say anything at all? He could just say, that's something that we're going to circle back with the press on when we have more information to give. You should not want to even give an inkling of hysteria or anything to the general public. It's like, and Tommy Lee Jones said in Men in Black, and I love Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones, his line was, a person is smart, people are stupid. A person can be calm and cool, but you get a bunch of persons together, and then people, they feed off each other's hysteria. Why would you even float that as bait? And then, because I am that cynical, and because I, along with all of you, we've lived through an era where the government shut us down, lockdown, made everyone stay in their homes, pulled everybody's kids out of school, tried to force jabs onto everybody. Then it made me think, is this a way to manipulate people into pushing for support of this Ukraine supplemental? Think about it. I don't put anything past my government. I'm an American, though. I don't put anything past any government, not just my government. I don't put anything past it. So it made me wonder. I mean, you're talking about national security, and Kane notes, Kane, just go ahead, because Kane's caps locking right now in Slack. His inside voice is getting really loud. Yes.
First of all the people to say, or be in a position to say on things of national security, it would be Jake Sullivan, our national security advisor.
Correct.
But also, it's kind of nice that right before the authority to spy on us with that FISA amendment, right when that's running out, all of a sudden now there's a national threat. I don't know, false flags and all, but there's an agenda when there needs to be legislation pushed forward, and a lot of times this is the kind of stuff we see.
Yeah. I mean, now I was looking at some of this because so he was saying that it's an urgent matter with regard to a destabilizing foreign military capability. So is that Iran? Is that what they're talking about? I mean, it just seems like you can't just float. This is all to manipulate the public. This is all to manipulate the public. That's what this is. And it could be, as Kane said, because of the FISA sunset, that provision with regard to
both. It could literally serve both.
Could be the Ukraine thing, could be both. This is a government that once told us that white supremacy was the greatest threat to the nation. So forgive me if I just don't take them seriously. When someone says something that butt-tastically stupid, there literally isn't another adjective for it. I had to fashion that one out of the ether. I just can't take them seriously on anything else. Can you? I mean, they looked at you with a straight face and like, well, the greatest threat. I mean, you got BLM burning down churches and stuff. The greatest threat is white supremacy. I don't know. I question their ability to actually identify threats. Number one. I question their ability to identify threats. And number two, I do think that this is an absolute issue of, I think right now I'm leaning towards this is them trying to manipulate you, the public. That's what it seems like. Because they don't need to go and make it public if there's an actual threat. Oh, there's a threat, guys. We can't talk about it. We need XYZ to. When have you ever heard that? Oh, we got to be able to talk about this threat. We got to have make a public thing about. And yes, I am questioning Turner on this to an extent. What do you mean? What kind of threat? You have to publicly ask the president to declassify stuff. I mean, y'all know that there's like a whole. Not everything has to be done on social media. Not everything has to be done in front of the cameras. I just feel like if it was a real threat, it would have been done privately. I don't know. And now you have Jake Sullivan saying this. So I don't know. I question absolutely everything, and you should.